Silence inside you lately. Not the peaceful kind, but the echoing kind. The kind that reminds you something is missing. Even if everything looks fine, you wake up, you work, you talk, you smile, and yet there's this quiet emptiness following you like a shadow. It doesn't shout. It doesn't scream. It just sits there waiting, uninvited, but persistent. People ask how you're doing. You say, "I'm okay," because technically you are. Nothing's broken, nothing's on fire, but still, something feels off. That heaviness in your chest, that numbness behind your eyes, that invisible question lingering beneath your breath. Is this it? Asterisk. Maybe you've asked yourself that in the middle of the night. Maybe during a celebration. Maybe right after achieving something you worked hard for. And maybe the scariest part isn't the emptiness. It's the fact that you're starting to get used to it. The strangest thing about emptiness is how familiar it starts to feel. At first, it's subtle. A quiet tug when you're alone. A fading interest in things that used to light you up. A blank stare at screens that once held your focus. You tell yourself it's just a phase. You blame the weather, your sleep, your schedule. But deep down, something inside you already knows. This isn't random. You try to shake it off. You stay busy. You stay productive. But even in your loudest days, the silence follows. It's there in the pause between conversations. In the late night scrolling. In the middle of laughter that feels 2 seconds too forced. No matter how full your calendar is, your soul still feels asterisk hungry. Asterisk not for food, not for rest, but for something real, something deeper, something asterisk you can't name asterisk, but know by heart. And maybe, just maybe, the reason you can't fill the void is because you've been trying to fill it with everything asterisk, but asterisk yourself. One day you wake up and you feel nothing. Not sadness, not anger, just numb. You stare at the ceiling, check your phone, scroll through faces, stories, lives, and yet you feel like a ghost, watching the world move while you remain still. You do the things you're supposed to. Smile at the right moments. Say the right words. But inside, there's a disconnect. Like your heart has unplugged from your life. The truth is, you've built a life full of things, but not full of asterisk you. Asterisk. And now, that emptiness is no longer quiet. It's screaming. Through your lack of joy, through your constant fatigue, through the ache of knowing something vital is missing. And maybe the hardest part is admitting that you followed all the rules and still ended up here, feeling hollow. But here's the thing. The pain isn't the end. It's the door. You're not breaking down. You're breaking asterisk open. If this story feels like yours, hit subscribe and the bell. Let's face the silence together. And then, something shifts. Maybe it's a quiet morning, a random podcast, a stranger's voice on the train. Or maybe it's just your own breath, louder than usual. But in that ordinary moment, something clicks. Not loud, not dramatic, just asterisk true. Asterisk. A single sentence lands inside you like thunder, even if it's whispered. What if this emptiness isn't a problem to solve, but a message to hear? Asterisk. You freeze, replay the words, because for the first time they feel like they weren't aimed at your ears, but at your asterisk soul. Asterisk. Suddenly the emptiness doesn't feel so empty. It feels alive. Not as a void to be filled, but as space, sacred, intentional, waiting. And you realize maybe the ache is not a flaw. Maybe it's an invitation to slow down, to stop fixing, to start listening. Not to the noise of the world, but to the whisper inside you that never stops speaking. You just stop listening. Picture this. Picture this. You're in a vast museum, every hallway lined with paintings, each one labeled with a part of your life. Success, productivity, achievement, perfection. You've walked these halls for years, studying them, polishing them, showing them off to others. But one day, you notice a door. No plaque, no spotlight. Just a plain wooden door, slightly ajar. Something pulls you toward it. Inside, a single room, empty, quiet. Nothing on the walls, no labels, just a mirror in the center. You step in, and for the first time, you don't see your accomplishments. You don't see your titles. You don't see what you've done. You see asterisk you. Asterisk, the part you've ignored, the part that's been watching from the shadows. not needing praise, just presence. And as you stand there staring at your own reflection, you realize the emptiness didn't come to haunt you. It came to find you. You linger in that empty room. The air is still, yet alive. You breathe. Your heart echoes with silence that isn't lonely. You step forward and touch the mirror's glass. Your fingers rest against something softer than cold, a reflection that seems to accept you without demand. No more labels, no more pictures, just you. You close your eyes. In the quiet, you feel a shift. So subtle you almost think it's imagination, a softness in your chest, a thaw in the spaces where resistance used to live, a willingness to just be without performing or proving. The room doesn't push, it doesn't vanish, it simply holds you. Here in that holding, you understand. The emptiness wasn't meant to scare you. It was meant to open you, to invitation, not invasion. You step away from the mirror and suddenly see the door behind you, lighter, wider. You walk toward it, not because you must, but because now you can. You leave the room with no burden, no labels to carry, only a memory. You were found. After standing in that empty room, staring at your reflection, something inside you shifts, not a grand epiphany, but a quiet, undeniable recognition. You walk out of the museum hallway, past the portraits of shoulds and achievements, but no longer defined by them. You're defined by the awareness of you. Curious, flawed, alive. In that moment, the void you feared starts to feel like a doorway, a threshold, a place of becoming. Every step you take isn't about proving or performing. It's about coming home to your breath, your heartbeat, your presence. You remember that whisper from the guide. What if emptiness isn't a void to fill, but an invitation to come back? And right now, you realize it was never a trap. It was a call. You're not searching for what's missing anymore. You're simply returning to what's always been waiting. Yourself. And as you stand, breathing into that real, unmapped space, you understand. Filling comes after feeling not the other way around. And real fullness is measured not in what you acquire, but in how whole you become. You're not broken, you're being found. Now you breathe, not just air, but presence. You don't rush to fix, you don't scramble to escape, you simply sit in the space you once called empty. But it doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels honest, it feels you. You start to see that maybe emptiness was never the enemy. Maybe it was the doorway, a passage back to the parts of you silenced to survive. The child who wondered, the soul who listened, the human who felt. And now, without needing to change the world, you've begun to change your relationship with yourself. That's not nothing. That's the beginning of everything. You stand not with answers, but with awareness. Not with certainty, but with peace. Because finally, you're not just living. You're awake. If your emptiness could speak, what would it say?